Here's how you can play piano in a cafe to draw more customers in. This was a request by someone, so thanks for this. It's an interesting topic. Have a bit of experience in this. I used to play at a restaurant, so similar enough. In this video, I'm just going to go through loads of tips on what you can do when you're playing it, how to prep for it, a little trick that Billy Joel did to help him kind of remember stuff. I'm going to go through some categories that are kind of good that I've broken the songs into for you to know, and also maybe just some tips on how to glide in between each song and what are some good transitions you can use to glide into the next one. Some good songs in there as well. Effectively with this, what you want is a mix of well-known songs, songs that are like a bit off the beaten track that kind of people would recognize, some simple ones, and also a mixture of like classic kind of tunes that you could imagine being played on a piano, and also some different songs that you wouldn't regularly find being played on piano. Examples of classic piano songs, of course, are Clocks. We have Homecoming. We have Piano Man. Some different ones that are like popular songs that you would know, but like not absolutely regularly play on piano, maybe. Apologize. Maybe it is, I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe ages ago it was a regular one, but now it's not. So well-known ones, and then, yeah, like different ones like... Knocking on Heaven's Door, Bob Dylan. Usually you hear that on guitar, you don't often hear it on piano. Firstly, you want to have the majority of the songs that you list as fairly easy to play, not too strenuous with the chords. So a genre that I love to play is 60s folk music. So the likes of Bob Dylan, Cat Stevens, Donovan, Don McLean. A lot of those the chords are so easy. They're like 3 to 4 chords. Also that genre, putting acoustic guitar folk music to piano suits a cafe or a restaurant setting so well, because the one thing restaurants and cafes don't want you to do is to play too loudly. That's like the number one rule, and that's something that I used to kind of get pulled up on a bit when I'd be playing in the restaurant. The odd time they'd tip me on the shoulder and be like, can you play a bit quieter? Because I'd get carried away and start playing as if I was like the center, whereas you're not the center of attention in a cafe or a restaurant. You're supposed to be in the background. You're not supposed to be at the forefront, and you're supposed to kind of just be like there as a secondary piece of the whole environment. So like, because people go to cafes and restaurants to have conversations and relax and chill with their friends. They don't want to be overblown by loud piano music. But if you can just play very softly and give them a reason to be like, oh, do you recognize that song or whatever, and give them a reason to point you out and enjoy there being live music there, that will drive customers out of your store or cafe if you start to play loudly. So an example of some 60s folk songs, yeah, Knocking on Heaven's Door, 3 chords, D, G, and A major. I got Cat Stevens, Father and Son. I think that's in D major. I actually did a tutorial on that as well. A lot of these songs that I'm going to mention, I've either done covers or tutorials on, so you can go and look that up on the page afterwards. Cat Stevens, Bob Dylan, and Donovan, look up those guys. Catch the Wind is a Donovan song in C major. I did a cover on that. I might do a tutorial on it later on. A lot of those songs, they're like D major, C major, G major, which are very easy keys with like little to no sharps or flats. And it's the type of thing that like, yeah, it depends on, suppose, the crowd that show up at your cafe. Like, are they young or older or like a mix? I remember in the restaurant, I played a few of those old numbers. I played a bit of Elton John as well. And I remember like there was one time where a dad kind of stood up by himself and gave me like a standing ovation, just like the one clap when I was about to leave, which doesn't happen. That's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to just play in the background and then kind of fade away. But he was obviously enjoying, I'm pretty sure, just the 60s folk kind of tunes, that whole era of things. So think about who's in your restaurant as well, and maybe like the age bracket, and like see if you can suss out like what songs were popular at that time. The second category of tunes that I like playing is soft, mellow, easy jazz. So I'm not talking about complex jazz stuff, but I'm talking about the likes of like Norah Jones, kind of jazz soulful kind of songs. Ava Cassidy as well. So Autumn Leaves is a song that I used to love playing, especially that like soft, gentle piano solo that you can go and look up the chords. But that would be more on the complex end of things, and I try and steer away from jamming in too many of those types of songs into your set list. But if you can throw in one or two songs like that where you like really made an effort to listen and learn the difficult kind of chord structure of things, that would be a great one to do. Yeah, I used to play that, and it just goes so well. It goes down so well in cafes and restaurants. A jazz one that I love playing is Ordinary People, like a light jazz one. This is by John Legend. That's just a great piece, and it's like long enough so you can go into the verses. What I love about these as well, like if you need more time to stall during a song, you can always play like an extra verse and chorus of the song. So it's like this song has like 2 verses, I think 3 choruses, 1 bridge. You can like, if you want, just extend that longer, because people don't really realize like you could be playing the same song for 5 minutes and get away with it just because it's piano and there's no vocals. So no one's really going to be paying much attention or being that in tune to the structure of things. Like as long as you kind of keep playing, that's like a strong key for this whole thing. Definitely look up Norah Jones and just anything with like 7 or 6 chords. One thing I will say, before you even attempt this, you should definitely be familiar with chords and keys and your scales. That would help you so much in terms of transitioning smoothly to the next songs and just knowing the key of each song you're in so that you can potentially just move over smoothly to the next one. So I've made a free Chord Bible you can download as a PDF document in the description. Get that on hand and just like use that to flick over and learn everything, because it will immensely help you with transitions and playing songs. Or even say if you're stuck and don't know what to play, you can just pick one of those chord progressions and you can just kind of flick between those chords easily enough, just to give yourself time and stall a bit. Because sometimes I remember I'd be like playing just random kind of jazz chords and people would be like, what's that? That sounds lovely. But literally there was no melody or anything. It was just kind of a jam with various 7 chords. And if you're interested in kind of more jazz type of tutorials like this, I did one other one about how there's no such thing as a wrong note, adding on to what Jacob Collier said once. Well, he didn't come up with that. It was Herbie Hancock, I think, and Miles Davis, I think originally I heard from. I'll leave that in the description. That will 100% help with playing in a cafe. But yeah, get to know 6s and 7 chords. Like I think a trick I sometimes do is like go down in thirds when playing 7s, and sometimes I just don't even know what key I'm in, but I'm kind of moving in steps of 3, like as in 1, 2, 3 semitones, and then 1, 2, 3. See, it kind of like just sounds nice. And then A flat is the third down from B minor. But you'll only be able to kind of do this smoothly if you are very familiar with your chords. So I'll just stress that again to get that document and have a look at it and study it, because it tells you the layout of each key and the scale and the common chords of each key, all that kind of stuff. The third category, if you can call this a category of songs, I've just put Coldplay. A lot of their songs are just so accessible and everyone knows them, and they're very kind of easily playable on the piano once you learn how to play them. I used to throw in so many Coldplay songs throughout, like just playing in that restaurant, and I used to play in like a nursing home as well. And people really enjoyed them, and people came up to me and like asked me, "Oh yeah, I recognize this Coldplay whatever song." Even people who don't listen to music would recognize those songs. So Clocks, obviously. Clocks is a very basic one, but like a lot of people just know this. They don't really know how to play like the whole thing. Like, I love this bit. We have Fix You as well, which is a great one. Like that just fits in so smoothly to loads of different kind of environments. I know the song itself is sad, but like the piano melody is real nice. And then when it goes... And then you have In My Place. Great one to play that riff and then just the verses and the chorus. I did a tutorial on that as well, I'm pretty sure, on my channel. So yeah, I've put in like 2000s pop R&B kind of tunes as well as a category. So tunes similar to like Apologize, One Republic, because like I think now they're like throwback tunes and people really love kind of being thrown back to those kind of memories. And it's just a nice one. Yeah, I love that one. And people in the restaurants, I think, did like that one as well. So definitely put that on your set list. And kind of just songs of that era. Like I did down a tutorial on that recently. I mean, if you play that song just kind of quieter and slower, I think that would go down a treat also. And like just kind of throwback type of tunes like that. And they're not too hard to play as long as they're like contemporary pop songs, it's fine. What I would do is stay away from a lot of upbeat songs. That One Republic song is kind of downbeat and suits the tempo that you're looking for. Same with like, I don't know, bands like The Script and stuff like that, of that era. Coldplay as well, you can definitely make that work. But like proper pop songs like, I don't know, Kesha, Katy Perry back then, Lady Gaga. So, well, I mean, you could definitely make them work. You could make anything work if you slow it down a bit, but I just try and minimize the upbeat kind of songs that you choose. So Homecoming would be maybe one of those examples that was in my set list. I mean, if you want to kind of liven the place up, maybe, but as I said at the start, you don't really want to be the center of attention when you're playing piano in a cafe or a restaurant. So if I was to play this, and the way I did play this was just really slowly. So yeah, I mean, it kind of turns into a different song. And like people would just stop and be like, oh, that's a very slowed down version of Homecoming, maybe if they recognize it. A great tip is to kind of like glide. So a song like that, you know, it's usually like, if you just kind of glide those chords instead. And then just slow it down. In general, for any song, when you're playing it in a cafe, there are generally some good rules to follow. Slow it down and kind of just like glide from left to right if you're playing chords. Another category is like classical tunes. So Troisième Mépris by Eric Satie is a very nice, easy. And like I love that song so much. That is an ideal tune to play in a cafe or a restaurant as well. Just songs of that kind of nature. So Mozart can get a bit like hyped up and too classical, but like a song like that and more classical songs like of that tempo are perfect to add into the set list. And a lot of people would recognize those songs from movies as well. You don't have to be knowledgeable about classical music to know what those songs are. Another song like Elton John type of songs, Tiny Dancer is a good one. Yeah, whack that in the set list as well. I remember I played that all the time. And I do have a Peter Pan theme music tune that I did a piano cover on, and then I later did a tutorial on this channel. And if you could learn that would be that was an amazing one to play. It's like it's the recent enough Peter Pan movie, not the very old one, but the more recent one than that. That theme music is like a magical kind of theme tune, and it would hit home to a lot of people's childhoods as well if you learned that and played that. It was a very nice one. Now I'm just going to go through some general tips on how to transition. So as I said before, you need to know your chords, because say if you got stuck, you could always default to the 4-chord trick. Did a video on this as well, where you could just stall. So this is in C major. I'm just playing the standard 4 chords that you find in C major. So you can play block chords and then just do random notes that you're already playing in the left hand on your right one. That makes sense. And then octaves or whatever. Just pick out your own melody. It'd be a good idea to like practice this before you go in as well. Just practice how you play like this. Set aside like 20 minutes each day for just like a jam session by yourself and just kind of play whatever you're feeling on the piano. So that's an example of stalling. What I said earlier about the jazz kind of chords is like a step up from that. Any jazz chords, like any kind of 7s and 6s you can think of in a cafe setting, would go down a treat. What I love about jazz, like No Wrong No, that's the video I referenced before. You can really like stretch it in terms of like whatever chords you decide to play. You don't really need to know what key you're in, because if you're using your ear correctly, you can eventually find out a way to kind of bring the song home. Arpeggios, when in doubt, play arpeggios. If you use the chord sheet that I mentioned before, the PDF in the description, it will tell you all the arpeggios for each key and each chord. So definitely learn them. This is where being familiar with all the chords and the keys and the scales come in handy. If you are stuck for a time period where you need to stall or get your breath back, just definitely slow down and play any kind of arpeggio kind of notes. People will think it's part of the medley you're playing. Especially 7 chords as well, say. Keep playing those. That's like a step up from just doing arpeggios, really. Again, the chord sheet will let you know what 7 chords are for each key and everything like that. So give that a read, give that a good scroll through. As well as that, then, this is a tip on how to transition over from piece to piece. So say if you're playing a chord progression, we're going to do C major, the standard 4 chords of C major. And your next song, for instance, it's in the key of G major. Find a common chord between C major and G major, which is very easy. We'll pick G. And just once you land on G major from playing your C major chord pattern, from there, go into the next piece. D major, E, and C. I'm just playing the 4 chords of G major now. So I'll just do that again. I was on C major, playing the 4 chords of C major. This is just an example. Say this is at the end of like a C major piece. I go again, C. I'm landing on G. And then I'm going to play the next chord in the G chord progression in the key of G, which is D major in this example. And then continue on playing that chord progression of G major. And then should be pretty smooth. Now, C to G is very easy to go into, but the key and the tip here is to just find a common chord between whatever key you're in, and usually there is one. And once you have that common chord, just rest on that. And really, for this transition period, you can really slow it down. You know, people aren't going to be fully in tune, zoned in on you playing. When you slow things down, people are more likely to kind of forget whereabouts they are in the chord pattern that you're playing. So it gives you a lot of room to, in a way, trick people and make the transition very smooth. All I use with all of these pieces is this left hand trick where I kind of just play the chord and then use the notes in the left hand to kind of come up with my own rhythm, depending on what song you're on. I'd use that in like so many of the songs, so there's a link down there for the tutorials. Check that out, and that will help you load with all these songs if you don't know it already. A bit of prep work then. So what you want to do is, so say if you're playing for an hour, so if you learn 15 songs per hour, I used to have 30 songs because I did 2 hours. That would be more than enough to tick you over, because you can you can always then repeat the start of the set as well. So sometimes if I was asked to stay on an extra hour, I just do the first half of the set again, or pick and choose, or else kind of just like use that time to kind of do my own improvisations. I remember I used to love playing at a restaurant. It was like the best way I've ever made money, I think, still, just because it's like you're being paid to just kind of sit there and do something that you would usually kind of just do at home at your acoustic piano in the living room kind of yourself. And it was great. It was free practice as well. And I'll say in terms of transitioning as well, just you can just do gaps of a bit of jamming and throw in some sevens to just make it sound really nice. Sevens and arpeggios, I'll just say, are your best friend when it comes to this kind of thing. Now, the Billy Joel trick, I was going to say, so I used to have my set list printed out with all of the songs on it, and I'd usually just handwrite the chords of each song, and usually, like, if it's simple, it'll be like 3 or 4 chords in each piece, and that will kind of help me remember. Or else I'll, like, if there's like different chord structures, I might just do an arrow and like write whatever chord structures like the verse and the chorus are jutting out from the song title, if you get me. Or if there were more kind of complex chords to learn, like a song like Autumn Leaves, Ava Cassidy, I would have a separate sheet for that, and it would be like a lyric sheet with all of the chords on it, so I can just like flick to that. But what Billy Joel used to do, like, because obviously his songs are so full of lyrics, and he'd be doing long sets for his headline shows, in order for him to like definitely not forget any of the lyrics, he used to just have all of the lyrics sitting on his piano as he's playing, even though he never had to look at those. The kind of psychological element in his head of like, the lyrics are definitely there if I'm ever stuck, that eased him, and I think helped him play every song correctly and not forget any words. So you can kind of use that same trick for this. Like, if you're nervous about forgetting the chords for any song, you can always like have a book of chords just resting on the piano, and that might just ease you. And if you're ever stuck, you can always kind of just be playing the right hand and like grabbing the book with your left hand, opening it out to whatever page, and putting it up. Or like you could like have a whole binder in front of you and just be gradually flicking between each song. It's a lot of printing out though, and it's a lot of effort. Like, I used to just have one sheet with the titles on it and then each chord, and it just kind of, in my opinion, the more you know in your head, the better you'll be. It's the same as doing a speech. If you're just reading off like the odd kind of bullet point guideline rather than a full-on script, you're less likely to trip up over your words than if you were like reading a full-on script, or like had learned like a full-on script. That's what I think anyway. That's the way I'd apply it to piano. But yeah, you're free to do whatever you want. If anyone else has any more tips they'd like to share, definitely leave them down in the comments. I'm also offering one-on-one tuition classes, so you can book that down with me now in the description if you wanted to have like a lesson in, or like have me comments on anything you're playing, right, if you want to go into depth in any areas you're struggling in. But yeah, thanks for this request, and let me know what else I want to do. Like, this is a bit of a different video. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know if you want to kind of see more of these kind of angles. I usually stick to just tutorials and general theory tips and stuff like that, but yeah, this was good to do. So I hope this helped, and best of luck with getting more customers into your cafe by doing that.